It was just after 4 p.m. on a breezy Friday afternoon in a quiet town outside Denver when Claire Jacobs decided to do something spontaneous. For 15 years of marriage, her husband, Mark, had been the rock of their family, steady, dependable, and quietly heroic. He never forgot anniversaries or birthdays, always kept his promises, and still opened her car door like he had on their first date. So today, with their anniversary just around the corner and nothing planned yet, Claire thought she'd beat him to it. She baked his favorite cookies, double chocolate chip with a pinch of sea salt, and left their 2 kids with her sister. Her plan was simple: drive to Mark's construction site, sneak into the office trailer, and leave the cookies on his desk with a note that read, "15 years later, and I'd still choose you." She smiled at the thought as she parked near the dusty lot where Mark worked as a foreman. The late sun cast long shadows over half-built homes and stacked lumber. The place was mostly empty, most workers had already clocked out. Claire clutched the cookie tin to her chest as she walked toward the small trailer. But as she reached the door, she heard something, soft voices just inside. She hesitated. "He doesn't know," one of them said. A second voice followed, quiet but tense. "You have to tell him. Mark deserves to know. You can't keep working like this, not in your condition." Claire's brow furrowed. The voice, it was her husband. She instinctively stepped back, heart pounding. She didn't mean to eavesdrop, but the name, Mark, and the tone drew her in. "I just need a few more weeks," Mark was saying. "After that, I'll figure it out. I just don't want Claire to worry. We're already behind on mortgage, and the kids, they don't need to see her scared again." Claire's heart froze. Her husband was hiding something. That night, Claire barely slept. The cookies remained untouched in the back seat of her car. Over the next week, she began noticing small things, the way Mark winced when lifting their youngest, how he'd quietly leave the room to take phone calls, how he'd grown thinner, paler. She finally confronted him one evening after dinner, hands trembling, heart aching. "Mark, are you sick?" He looked up slowly, the way a man does when he realizes there's nowhere left to hide. He nodded. "I didn't want to burden you," he said softly. "It's a rare autoimmune disorder. Nothing fatal, not yet. But the treatments, they're expensive. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to take away your peace." Claire broke down in his arms. In the days that followed, Claire did something she never imagined. She went on social media and told their story. Not as a plea, but as a tribute. She wrote about a man who never asked for anything, who gave everything, who walked through pain quietly so others wouldn't have to. "I just want to surprise my husband," she wrote at the end, "the way he surprised us all these years, by being our quiet hero." The post went viral. Within days, a wave of compassion washed over their small town, and beyond. Neighbors, strangers, even former co-workers Mark hadn't spoken to in years, donated. A GoFundMe raised more than $80,000 in a week. A local clinic offered discounted treatments. Claire even got an offer for part-time remote work from someone who read her post and wanted to help. But the most surprising gesture came from one of Mark's old crew members, Luis, a quiet man who had once lived in his car for months. Mark had helped him back then, never asking for anything in return. Now Luis was doing the same. He stood on their doorstep, eyes misty, holding a small wooden box. "Boss once gave me this job when I had nothing," he said. "So I sold my old tools. Not much, but maybe enough for a few more appointments." Inside the box was $320 in crumpled bills. Mark could barely speak. Months later, the treatment started helping. Mark's color returned. So did his energy. The kids noticed first, how he started dancing again while flipping pancakes, or how he stayed awake for their bedtime stories without dozing off halfway through. But it was Claire who felt the biggest change. Not in Mark's body, but in how the world had responded. She had feared the worst. But what came instead was a reminder of everything good about humanity, kindness, generosity, connection. She never thought a simple surprise, a tin of cookies and a visit to her husband's workplace, would lead to this cascade of grace. 1 year later, on their anniversary, Mark and Claire stood before a small crowd at a local benefit gala, this time to raise money for other families facing sudden illness. Mark, always uncomfortable with attention, smiled sheepishly before speaking. "I thought I had to carry everything alone," he said. "But the truth is, we're never truly alone. Not when we love. Not when we give. Not when we believe in each other." He turned to Claire, taking her hand. "She saved me, not just with her courage, but with the way she reminded the world that we still matter. That every small act of kindness counts. Sometimes, the smallest steps lead us to the biggest turning points. A simple visit. A quiet moment. A brave act of love. In a world often filled with noise and fear, we still have the power to be someone's miracle. Even if all we bring is a box of cookies, and a heart full of love."